Call the meeting to order, the regular City Council meeting of May 1st, 2017. If you'll please stand, I'll ask Troop 182 to come forward and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, guys.
Scouts, thank you so much for being here. I'd like to call on the Reverend Laurel Carlson, who is with Calvary Lutheran Church, to lead us in an invocation, please.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for the people of this city and for the abundance of life found here in Morganton, for growing diversity, new opportunities, and people with passion for their community and the common good. We lift up to you those who go hungry and homeless, and all those who work diligently to assist them as they seek security of food, housing, and jobs. We pray especially tonight for those who govern the city. Bless these public servants and guide them by your Spirit to acts of wisdom, justice, and service of neighbors. Give us grace to live together in unity and peace as we move forward together. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Carlson. I'd like to introduce the City Council. To my far right is Forrest Fleming, City Council, Louis Vina, our City Attorney. I'm Ronnie Thompson, your Mayor, Sally Sandy, our City Manager, Sydney Simmons, City Council, John Cantrell, City Council, Kelly Russell, our Recording Secretary, and interpreting for the deaf community, Becky Brinkley. We have a very special resolution honor a retiring city employee tonight, Andrew Shuping, who is retired from the city on May 1st, 2017, with 22 years and 11 months. I'd like to read that resolution, please. Whereas Andrew M. Shuping was employed by the City of Morganton as a Laborer 1 in the Public Works Cemetery and Grounds Department on June 8, 1994, promoted to Laborer 2 in the Public Works Cemetery and Grounds Department on July 1st, 2001, reclassified as Senior Maintenance Worker in the Public Works Cemetery and Grounds Department on July 1st, 2004. And whereas Andrew M. Shuping has faithfully served the City of Morganton in the Public Works Cemetery and Grounds Department and has given of his time and talents for the benefit of the citizens of Morganton for 22 years and 11 months, and whereas Andrew M. Shuping retired from the City of Morganton as a Senior Maintenance Worker in the Public Works Cemetery and Grounds Department on May 1st, 2017, and whereas the City Council wishes to officially recognize the contributions of Andrew Shuping and express their appreciation for a job well done, now therefore be it resolved by the City of Morganton that the Mayor present this resolution to Andrew M. Shuping, adopted this first day of May 2017. Ronnie Thompson, Mayor, Sally Sandy, City Clerk. I'm going to ask Mayor Pro Tem John Cantrell to make that presentation and ask Andrew Shuping to please come forward.
Thank you very much. Andrew Shuping is part of our grounds people that make this city as beautiful as it is, and I know we're all very proud of that, and we're proud of people like Andrew that have devoted their time for the City of Morganton to be the beautiful place that it is. So, thank you very much.
Andrew, would you like to say anything?
No.
Okay. Thank you for a job well done. Andrew, thank you so much for your years of service. We have a very special recognition to provide right now, and I'm going to call on Dr. Michael Helmick with Western Piedmont Community College for something not on our agenda, but a very special ceremony as it is.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. It's a pleasure to be here. We're doing something that, quite frankly, we have never done before, and I think it will be a surprise to several people. As president of Western Piedmont Community College, I am honored to be here tonight to present the Outstanding Alumnus Award Each year, the Western Piedmont Foundation recognizes an alumnus who has given unselfishly of his or her time and talents to advance the mission and goals of Western Piedmont Community College and our community. The Western Piedmont Foundation has been awarding this recognition since 1989, and I am honored to be here tonight to award to someone in this room with the 27th Outstanding Alumnus Award. Our Outstanding Alumnus of the Year began his education at Western Piedmont Community College, where he received a certificate in criminal justice and his associate's degree in accounting. He then entered the GOAL, the Greater Opportunities for Adult Learners program, at Gardner-Webb University and received a bachelor's in business administration. He is currently working on his MBA with only a few classes left to complete, all while maintaining no less than a 3.5 grade point average and at the same time working full-time and being a devoted husband and father to his family. He has also achieved his purchasing certificate from the School of Government at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. During his time at Western Piedmont, he volunteered for the VITA tax program, helping to prepare tax returns for the students and for the community. He was active in clubs and activities on campus and served as the president of the Criminal Justice Club. He is also a former employee of the college. He currently serves as the purchasing agent for the city of Morganton and is an active contributor to the community. He volunteers as a soccer coach at New Dimensions and with various downtown Morganton events such as parades and the historic Morganton Festival. While his career and professional accomplishments are impressive, he possesses other admirable qualities that distinguish him as Western Piedmont Community College's Outstanding Alumnus of the Year. His service to the college and the community makes him an exemplary model for other Western Piedmont Community College graduates to emulate. Our outstanding alumnus is known for his constructive energy and leadership, and he represents Western Piedmont Community College well by his numerous achievements, described by one nominator as gifted in working, coordinating, and managing any situation. He is recognized for his work ethic, his dedication, his moral fiber, and his initiative, all of which serve as an example for others to follow. In recognition of his exemplary service, scholarship, and leadership, please welcome with me Western Piedmont Community College's 2016 Outstanding Alumnus, Joseph Michael Chapman.
Yeah, get the family up here.
Want a picture with them? Oh, look at oh.
Speech. Come on.
A few words.
I will say, everybody done a great job in keeping this a secret. I didn't have a clue, but this is a great, it's truly an honor, so thank you.
Congratulations. Sometimes we can't surprise them, so that's good. Under upcoming events, at the City of Morganton Municipal Auditorium, Outrageous is this Thursday, May 4th at 7:30. For downtown, our TGIF concerts begin this Friday, May 5th. The farmers market are going to be on Saturdays and Wednesdays now. I also have a proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'd like to read that proclamation. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their life, and whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental illness, and whereas there's a strong body of research that supports specific tools that all Americans can use to better handle challenges and protect their health and well-being, and whereas research also shows that by ignoring symptoms, we lose 10 years in which we could intervene in order to change people's lives for the better. Intervening effectively during early stages of mental illness can save lives and change the paths of people living with mental illness. And whereas with early and effective treatment, those individuals with mental illness can recover and lead full, productive lives, and whereas mental illnesses are real and prevalent in our nation and in our community, and it's identified as a priority in the recent community health assessment, and whereas the number of hospital emergency room visits, behavioral health hospital hold hours, individuals seeking mental health treatment continues to rise in Morganton, and whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental illnesses and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Therefore, the City of Morganton, I, Ronnie Thompson, Mayor, do hereby proclaim May 2017 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Morganton. As the Mayor, I also call upon citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses and schools in Morganton and Burke County to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illness and the various forms and complications for daily living and wellness. Adopted this first day of May, Ronnie Thompson, Mayor, Sally Sandy Clerk. I'm going to ask Councilman Sid Simmons if he'll make that presentation to Ms. Irvin.
When I was asked if I would present this proclamation, I accepted. I didn't read what it was for, and I'm going to talk to the mayor after the meeting, see if there's some connection.
Absolutely. We can help you if you need it, just Good evening, Mayor Thompson and council members. My name is Carol Irvin. I am a registered nurse, and I am the Director for Behavioral Health Services at Carolina's Healthcare System, Blue Ridge, here in Morganton. May is, as Mayor Thompson so eloquently read, Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm here tonight as a representative of a collaboration between Blue Ridge Healthcare, Partners Behavioral Health Management, and the Burke County Health Department, and many healthcare professionals that work countless hours providing services and support to our community members who live day to day with mental illness. We are thankful for the opportunity to provide information to the citizens of Morganton and to spread the word about the available services, and most of all, to focus attention that the number one issue prioritized by our community health assessment need has already pointed out to us: mental illness. I would like to share some activities with you that we have, and each council member, I think, has a calendar. We have these available. They are available on the Blue Ridge website. They're also available on Partners Behavioral Health website. But some of these activities that we have planned, they are scheduled throughout the county for the month of May. Every Wednesday, we will be having mental health first aid classes. Those are some classes classes that have been set aside for individuals who work in the community with people and maybe not understand or know exactly what's going on with them, and maybe have a suspicion that there may be some mental illness involved. It gives you some ability to support that individual at the moment, as well as to give them opportunity to find support in the community if they need help. Those classes are every Wednesday, starting this coming Wednesday on May the 3rd, and they're at various locations across the county so that we can offer them to many people throughout the county. We also have classes called QPR, which is Question, Persuade, and Prefer. It's a suicide prevention program that we'll also be offering throughout the month of May. In addition to that, we'll be speaking to various community entities, one of which it will be the Burke County Chamber of Commerce, which we will be doing that next week at their monthly meeting, and we will be providing them with information from the Community Health Assessments Survey, as well as some resources that are available in the community, and giving them a call to action, basically saying if there is something that they need in their organization, if we can help them with that, then we will help them to implement some things there. But we have already had a couple of presentations this month, one at the Burke Substance Abuse Network just this past week, and we have more coming up. And we would like to invite you, your family members, your colleagues, your friends to join us at any of these activities. You are more than welcome. Our goal is to help break the stigma associated with mental illness that is such a huge barrier for those that need to seek help. It is estimated that only about 41% of people with mental illness will ever seek and receive help. If you put that statistic with a heart disease or with cancer, can you imagine the impact it would have on our community? So I thank you for your consideration in this proclamation declaring May as Mental Health Month in Morganton, and I thank you very much for your time.
Carol, thank you so much.
And may I add one thing too? Another event that is going on in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month is Monday, May the 22nd, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Collett Street Rec Center. Captain Jason Wisnett from Public Safety, Morganton Public Safety, is going to be speaking. And this is something that the Morganton Human Relations Commission and the Department of Public Safety are doing as a joint effort. And the topic will be what to expect when you call for help from the public safety and police perspective. And so that is again at the Collett Street Rec Center from 5 to 7 p.m. on Monday, May the 22nd.
Thank you, Sally. Next, we have another proclamation, which is declaring May 14th through 20th as National Nursing Home Week. I'd like to read that proclamation. Whereas we honor and respect our elders and citizens of any age with physical and intellectual disabilities who reside in skilled nursing care centers in Morganton, and whereas skilled nursing care centers throughout our area are holding events in observance of National Nursing Home Week, May 14th through the 20th, 2017, using this year's theme of the Spirit of America. And whereas we urge all citizens to visit a loved one, family member, or friend residing in any care setting and offer a kind word, a personal touch, and spend time participating in various activities to unite those from all walks of life in need of our continuing love and support. And whereas my administration is committed to quality health care, we take this moment to embrace the essence of the theme, the Spirit of America. Let's join all residents, patients, caregivers, nurses, other staff, volunteers, and visitors in celebrating this special week. Now, therefore, I, Ronnie Thompson, Mayor of the City of Morganton, declare the week of May 14th through 20th, 2017, as National Nursing Home Week, a week to honor both our vulnerable citizens who receive care and the dedicated ones who giving care. Adopted this first day of May 2017, Ronnie Thompson, Mayor, Sally Sandy, City Clerk. I'll be making this presentation in Autumn Care on May 15th. We have another proclamation, which is Municipal Clerks Week. I'd like to read that proclamation. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the municipal clerk services serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations, and whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishment of the office of municipal clerk, now therefore I, Ronnie Thompson, Mayor, do hereby recognize the week of May 7th through 13th, 2017 as Municipal Clerk Weeks, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Michaela Kelly Russell, and Assistant Clerk Carolyn Richardson, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Adopted this first day of May 2017, Ronnie Thompson, Mayor, Sally Sandy, City Manager. I'm asked Forrest Fleming if he'll make that presentation, please. And Kelly, if you'll join him at the podium.
We extend our congratulations to all of our municipal clerks. They all do a terrific job, and we're so tickled to have them. And thank you, Kelly, for all your service.
Thank you.
And Carolyn, too.
Thank you. I will share that with Carolyn, and I and Carolyn thank you all for your support in the work that we do every day.
Thanks, Kelly. The council was able to have a presentation concerning our Compass update. Mr. Dave Stockton, I believe, is in the audience. I'll call Dave to come up and share with us that information, please. Dave, thank you for being here. I understand you flew in from Arizona today.
Yes, I did. Yeah, happy to be here, Mr. Mayor, council members. So thanks for the opportunity. As you know, Uptown Service is a small consulting firm. We specialize in municipal broadband. About a year ago, I started working with your team here regarding Compass. We conducted some analysis, came up with a tactical plan relative to where we thought we could take the venture and making some tactical changes and strategy-focused changes. And we're here today really to give you a one-year update on the financial performance and give you a very brief summary of what we've been working on. So if we go to the next slide. So in terms of the financial performance, we've made some tactical changes back mainly in the August timeframe of last year. And we've been able to, I think, to as you'll see in a minute, move the needle relative to improving financials and the performance of the operation. Also, as part of that, some operational changes were made. And those, as you can see on the list, include things like outside plant improvements. So a lot more time has been spent relative to the performance and the reliability of the system. We also brought on board an install contractor that has helped us with our install intervals, and I think our install intervals are now down to 2 or 3 days, which is leading class. Focus on commercial services. We've been focusing on adding more commercial customers and have done some letter campaigns relative to that segment that have been productive. Going forward, there's more to do. We do want to have a fall campaign relative to a marketing program that would be to mainly focus on internet growth. So that's something that's coming up that we're starting to plan on right now. And then finally, we've also made some capital improvements. One has already been completed, which is a new data switch. And then we are looking at what's called a DNCS upgrade, which would be a replacement of the main digital control system for video service. In terms of the charts and the changes, if we could go to that, what you're looking at here is for each individual service, the contribution or the financial contribution it's creating for the system. The blue would be internet, the orange would be voice service or telephone, and then the green is video. As you can see, we had an erosion of total contribution down to about 1.5 million through the end of last fiscal year, which is right around the time we began putting this plan into place. Our projection for the current fiscal year, as you can see, is that we'll go up to about 1.9 million total contributions. So about a 20% increase year over year. Most of that growth is coming from internet, which was our intent and plan. That is the most important service that we feel we have. And that has gone from about 900,000 in contribution to a little over 1.1 million. With some changes in the cost structure, we've also been able to improve voice service, which has gone from just under 100,000 to about 160,000 in total contribution. And then with some repricing changes, and despite some video subscriber erosion, we've been able to increase video as well and get that moving back in the right direction, going from about 550 to a little over 600,000. So we're really pleased in looking at the result here with the ability to turn things around and get some financial growth happening with Compass. In terms of the roll-up for the full system, we have been able to increase operating revenue, as you can see. More importantly, we've been able to improve the net position of the system itself. So a pretty strong turnaround there. Previous years, we've had an erosion of net position gradually happening each year, with at the end of last fiscal year, a total net position for the cable system of about $300,000. We've been able to add that and reverse that trend now with a net position now of just under $400,000. So very pleased with the results to date. There's more work to do, including the marketing campaign and some other things that we intend to take on going forward, but we think we're on the right track. So happy to answer any questions that you would have at this time.
Council, you have any questions for Dave? we had a pretty extensive session this afternoon, so Dave, thanks so much. It looks like we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
Thank
glad to
you.
be here. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
The last thing on the public advocacy is an announcement and remind our public, the folks here and at home, that we have a Park and Recreation Master Plan survey currently going on. As part of this master plan, our consultants have created a survey to get feedback from the community. We know Morganton has amazing parks and a fantastic recreation program. Rob Winkler, I know you're in the audience back there, great job. But our staff always wants to make our programs even better. I want to ask all of our residents to take a few minutes to complete the online survey and give their input into our next master plan. The survey is online. You can see it on the screen. That's www.tinyurl.com/Morganton Parks. And we just thank you so much for your time. You can get the surveys at the Recreation Center if you need to. And we do have them, I think, at the main desk here at City Hall. So we do need your input. People say, I'd like to be able to influence what's going on in the future. This is your chance to give your input. Next on the agenda is our North Carolina Municipal Power Agency #1. Sally, an update for that.
No update at this time.
Next on the agenda is our consent agenda. I believe there's 4 items on that. Sally?
That's correct, and those items we consider to be routine in nature. Would ask that you consider adopting those in a single motion. For those of you viewing at home, those items include minutes from the April 3rd regular council meeting, tax releases in the amount of $2,797.49, a resolution acknowledging the addition of Government Drive to the state-maintained secondary road system. That's a road that we have never maintained, but we have been asked by the state. The county is turning that over to the state, and they have asked for us to do this action tonight. And then finally, a budget amendment in our cemetery and grounds budget where we have received some insurance funds for damages to some equipment in the amount of $1,266.
Do any members of council wish to have anything taken off the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on our agenda is some public hearings. And our first public hearings for the City of Morganton Action Plan fiscal year 2017. So I'll call the public hearing for the City of Morganton Action Plan fiscal year 2007 to order. This is dealing with, actually, I think some of the CD
hard thing.
Community Development Block Grant Program. Thank you very much. Sally, go ahead.
It is dealing with the new allocation that we hope to receive for next year and setting up the framework for how we will adopt the budget to go forward with that. We have Lisa Helton here with us tonight who administers that program. She is with the COG, and we have actually several items that we'll be doing in regard to this tonight, holding the public hearing regarding our action plan and the kinds of opportunities we have for funding, adopting a budget, and then, or at least a budget with some estimated numbers, and Lisa will talk about that, and then finally the contract with the COG.
So we're going to have 3 considerations within this public hearing, correct?
We are.
Okay, Lisa?
Good evening.
Thank you.
The purpose of this public hearing is to receive public input and comments concerning the proposed 2017 action plan for the City of Morganton. This public hearing is required by HUD, and the year will begin July 1st, 2017, and end June 30th, 2018. If anybody has any questions.
And the activities that are included, as you see in your information, looking at continuing our small business loans, which is a very popular program, the annual grants to nonprofits, which is a competitive process, but also a very popular program, including some funds used to clear slum and blight and clean up areas around town, and that is something that we have been doing consistently for years. And then also some public infrastructure, which may involve sidewalks, could involve some utility extensions and those types of projects, and we've really done all of those in the last few years.
Would anyone like to speak concerning this hearing? Don't close it.
Yeah, I think we do.
Yes. Don't do the consent of the
We
budget.
can close it first and then.
Then we can consider.
I think.
I'll close the public hearing, and we will consider the approval of the 2017 ACDB action plan.
Motion to approve the 2017 CDBG action plan as presented.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. During a public hearing, the audience can discuss something, but the public hearing is now closed.
Did you wish to,
Do you wish?
well, you can
can do that,
reopen
Ed.
it if that's what the council wishes
can
to
do.
do.
Council wish to reopen it?
Sure.
We'll reopen the public hearing. Please come forward.
My name is Edward Trout.
Could you come to the microphone, please? I understand.
Okay.
You'll give us your name and address, please.
My name is Edward Tarowski. My home address is 1676 Whippoorwill Lane, Morganton, but I live at a post office box because I don't get a bill at my home. It gets knocked over all the time. I've been a registered nurse for 44 years. I'm a psychiatric nurse, and I want to support Ms. Irwin and the things that her department and people do. It really is tremendous. But one thing I want to bring awareness to the community, and which this wasn't planned, about the HUD grant, whatever. I worked, excuse me, in El Paso back in the 60s during the last heroin methamphetamine epidemic. And now we are in the throes of a real bad one again. I challenge anybody in this room to go downtown Morganton at 2 o'clock in the morning and see how much heroin you can buy. It is ridiculous. It is sad. If you read in the paper every day, a number of people get arrested for methamphetamine or heroin possession, trying to sell. So what I would suggest is a concept called co-occurring disorders. When we talk about psychiatric problems, there are so many people. I worked at alcohol drug abuse treatment program up in the Black Mountain for about 15 years, and people have both disorders. It's really disheartening to see the efforts they make and are unsuccessful. But that's because once you get out of a treatment program, there's no support in the community. Where in our community can a person with a dual diagnosis with co-occurring disorder go for fellowship besides AA or NA? There needs to be more awareness. That's really what I'm talking about, is awareness and to get involved with these people who need a lot of help, a lot of support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
We'll close the public hearing. The next is consideration of a public budget ordinance for 2017 CDBG. Have a motion?
I move we approve the 2017 project budget ordinance.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And we have consideration of the administration contract with Western Piedmont Council of Governments. I believe they're the ones that actually do the administration for us. Do we have that consideration?
I move we approve the grant management assistant agreement with Western Piedmont Council of Governments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you so much.
HUD has not passed a budget yet, so when they do, if there's some changes to be made, we'll just do an update on the budget ordinance.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have a public hearing for the consideration of items associated with the wastewater process conversion improvement project. I'll call the public hearing to order. Would anyone like to speak on the consideration of items associated with the wastewater process conversion improvement project?
I would.
So we'll ask the city manager, if, since it's a few dollars and cents, we'd like to let you talk about that, please.
Hard to pass up a topic with a name that long. You will remember that back in the spring of 2015, which seems like just yesterday, you authorized an interim solution to be implemented at the wastewater treatment plant because the pure oxygen system that had been operating there for decades failed. At the same time, you authorized us to look at a process conversion study that would evaluate how we would convert from that pure oxygen system to a traditional type waste treatment system. During that time, you have seen and heard the recommendations for the improvements that need to happen there. 2 new aeration basins, a splitter box, a secondary clarifier splitter box, repairs to secondary clarifiers, all kinds of exciting things, new buildings, electrical gear, chemical storage, pumping equipment, and flow equalization facilities. That sounds exciting, every bit of it, doesn't it? Very important to our waste treatment process. You also authorized for design of the new system, and Freeze and Nichols have been doing that for us, and that has culminated on 2 o'clock, April 11th. In this very room, we received construction bids. 4 bids were received. They were all valid bids and from noteworthy and trustworthy contractors. However, the lowest responsible bid was received from Herren, H-A-R-E-N Construction Company. And we are recommending you're going to have several actions with this item as well. We're going to finance this project. Hopefully, the Local Government Commission is going to give us that approval at their June meeting. In order to do that, we need a resolution from you after this hearing allowing us to file an application with the Local Government Commission for that. We're going to also ask you to consider awarding the construction contract tonight, and we're going to also ask you to consider awarding the financing bid for this project tonight.
Again, we're in the public hearing. Would anyone like to talk about clarifiers or flow equalization systems? It's your chance to.
Or financing.
Or financing.
Or financing.
Seeing no one move to the podium, public hearing is closed. We need several considerations, as Sally said. One question I had before we vote, when would it go to the Local Government Commission? They have a meeting when?
They meet the first Tuesday of the month, which will be June the 6th,
Okay.
which is the night after our June 5th, or afternoon after our June 5th council meeting.
Motion to approve a resolution authorizing filing of an application for approval of the financing agreement authorization by NCGS 160A-20 Process Conversion Improvement Project wastewater.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The second item in this process is consideration of award a contract for the construction contract. And as I said earlier, we received a low responsible bid from Herren Construction Company. They are out of Tennessee, and their base bid was $8,527,000. Staff would recommend that you consider awarding that bid.
Do I have a motion?
I move to authorize a contract with Herron Construction Company Incorporated of Etowah, Tennessee, in the amount of $8,527,000 for the process conversion improvement project at the wastewater treatment plant, contingent upon the LGC approval in June of 2017.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, I believe we have consideration of the installment financing. Sally?
We do, and that item was laid before you at your desk tonight because we received those bids on Friday morning and received one responsible bid, and that came from Wells Fargo Bank. The amount to be financed is $9,716,370. And that includes the 2 engineering and design contracts that we have already authorized, because we will be able to reimburse ourselves. We fronted the money, and we'll be able to reimburse ourselves that once the financing is complete and spread that over the cost of the project. Wells Fargo's bid was 2.45%. for a period of 10 years. The first debt payment will happen in next fiscal year in June of 2018. And so you will not need a budget amendment. It'll be included in the budget you'll adopt for next year. And would like to say that that is a fantastic rate. That is a taxable rate, because in any year that you issue more than $10 million in debt, you are not allowed to have a non-taxable rate. And so we are really, really pleased to have gotten that.
Do I have a motion?
I move to award the installation purchase financing contract, process conversion improvement project / wastewater to the Wells Fargo Bank in the amount of $9,716,370 and interest rate of 2.45% for a term of 10 years, contingent upon the LGC approval in June of 2017.
I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'd like to ask Sally if she could tell me, because of the low interest rate and the term of 10 years, about how much money we could save just on the interest on this project.
Absolutely. When we first went out to financing, and obviously over the last several months, Karen has been talking to a lot of banks about this opportunity and getting them excited about the opportunity to bid on this financing. Another financial institution asked us to delay taking the bids because they were undergoing an internal change with their contract for this type of a borrowing, and their attorneys weren't ready for them to respond. However, they indicated to us that they would have put in a bid of 3.25% for a 15-year term, because at first we started looking at 15 years, but allowed ourselves the option to go to 10, something less than 15. The difference between these two deals, with the 15-year deal, the total interest would have been $2.7 million, and the interest on this one is 1.3. And so we really have saved 1.4 million. I mean, as much interest as we're paying by shortening that term by the 5 years and getting such a great rate.
Thank you.
And I know all those are really big numbers, but that's a really awesome financing deal and a testament to, number one, how hard Karen worked the banks, and number two, our financial stability and our financial condition. And so I think the LGC will be very pleased when considering this.
We have
Mr.
a
Mayor, I
motion.
want to make a comment on this if I could.
Okay, Forrest?
If those of you that have been following these council meetings during the past year, you probably noticed that we have made exercise several contracts and have been doing a lot of work down to waste treatment plant. This is primarily due, I feel, due to the previous several years that we've had some situations where we've actually robbed parts off of one motor or one apparatus and put it on another one, and things have just kind of eroded down now to the state that we're in a position where we're having to spend a lot of money down to wastewater treatment plant to get this plant up to par and to meet the specs and all that sort of thing that's required by the state. So bear with us, if you will. We are spending some money down there, and it's a necessity. Nothing we can do about it but exercise our improvement plan. So, and I'm glad that we're doing some things down there to get this plant up to what it should be, so we can continue to flip that lever and everything will be all right.
Absolutely, and we are replacing some equipment that is 50 years old.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We have consideration of a capital project budget ordinance for this particular process.
I move we approve the capital project budget ordinance in the amount of $9,716,370 for the process conversion improvements project at the waste treatment plant.
We have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. I think our next item is another public hearing on the consideration of joining with Burke County and entering into an economic development incentive grant agreement with Continental Automotive Systems, also known as Continental. I'll open a public hearing to consider joining with Burke County and entering into an economic development incentive grant. Do we have anybody who would like to speak? Alan, you're recognized. If you'll give your name and title, please.
Alan Wood, I'm President and CEO of Burke Development, Inc. I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Mayor, council members, Mr. Nye, and clerk, manager. Appreciate the opportunity. This has been a long and winding road, as the attorney would attest to, and I'm sure he's happy that I don't have any changes to this agreement tonight. So, we knew this as Project Stop, and it's now known that it is Continental. They will be adding to an existing facility, expanding that structure, reworking the interior, and bringing in a considerable amount of new equipment. The total expenditures on this project are about $40 million. The breakdown on that, I think, is about $8.5 million to the facility, and the balance of it is new equipment. Those numbers could change somewhat, but those were the last numbers that I had on this. They will be creating 160 new full-time jobs. These will be full-time permanent positions with the company, not temporary positions. I want to make that very clear. And this will be in addition to the approximately 400 positions that are currently at the facility. The wages on these jobs, while I don't have an exact number, will be above the county average. And this was something that has to be in place to qualify for the state incentives. And so that will be monitored by the NCUI 101, which is the quarterly unemployment numbers that are reported by the company to the state. I want to stress that this was a very competitive project. It was considered among a lot of their facilities across the country and outside of the U.S. It will be doing new generation braking system that are primarily looking to be used on autonomous cars as those are being developed. There were many, many partners in addition to the city of Morganton. This project would not have happened without you, Burke County, the administration of both, Department of Commerce, the North Carolina Economic Development Partnership. We also work closely with Alan Van Oppen, the staff of Continental, and all made contributions to make this happen, as well as the COG, who helped us with the administration and will be helping with the administration of the grants going forward. There are two phases of the incentives. First is for a 7-year period is a grant that is based on the new taxable rate. It's proposed at 7 years at 75% of this. It will run 7 years consecutively, and based on a $40 million new investment, that would be approximately $156,000 a year. It would not be until the next tax year, so it would not require any adjustment for this period. The second is a local building reuse that would be paid after the state's building reuse. So as the company spends money on the project, at the point where they hit $2.4 million, there would be a reimbursement of $200,000, which it would be split between the county and the city as proposed on a pro rata share based on the tax rates of those two entities. There are some information in place that these are performance-based. If they do not spend the money, if they do not create the jobs, then the incentives will be reduced or stopped at that point in time. They're to create the jobs over a period of 30 months, and then we will track them to make sure that they hold those jobs for a period of 12 months after they hit the number. It's projected that they will hit that by the end of at the end of 2019. These incentives are based on the creation of 135 jobs. that number is taken because that is what they would have to hit to receive any of the JDIG money. That's the Job Development Investment Grant that was approved by the state. I will cover from the state's point of view, they created a $1.65 million JDIG and $1 million building reuse grant. That is the largest reuse grant that has ever been approved for this type of program. And believe me, there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of negotiation to get this package put together from a state level. Once again, this was a hard-fought victory, and it is a victory and very important to us, not only for receiving these jobs, but maintaining the ones that were there. Looking at this brake system, this stabilizes this environment for this company for the foreseeable future.
Thank you, Alan. We're still in public hearing. Would anyone else like to speak concerning this project?
Good job. Good job.
If not, public hearing will be closed. Alan, I would like to say personally, I thank you for all your work, the county commissioners. I know they voted back in April on this project, the state, and it's really a project of everybody coming together to make it happen. So we do have some consideration, council.
Motion to approve and enter into an economic development incentive agreement jointly with Burke County for Continental Automotive Systems Incorporated, and to authorize the mayor and city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, if
Yes,
I may.
you may.
From the company's perspective, there will be, at some point in the future, either a ribbon cutting or groundbreaking, and to show their appreciation for everything that was accomplished to make this project happen.
Okay.
It would not have happened without your support. So
Thank you
thank
so
you very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have at least one more public hearing.
At least.
And it's a resolution removing the local historic landmark status from the grounds of 402 North Green Street. The parcel identification number is 27031833160, which was the previous location of the now removed Perkins House. Call this public hearing to order and ask our city attorney to give us some background, if you could, please.
Well, I think we may want to simply recognize Philip Luckadoo as our
Recognize
planning
Philip
director,
Luckadoo.
who's apparently going to provide that background.
I can certainly do that. The Perkins House was given local historic landmark status by an ordinance. In fact, I believe it was number 8707.
30 years ago.
And if you look in the actual ordinance, the language of that ordinance is almost entirely associated with the house. It talks about it being a Queen Anne and East Lake style house, and so is given almost entirely that status, and I would say entirely that status based on or predicated on the house itself. As you know, the house was, I think, burned, as I understand, and therefore the historic status associated with that property has diminished. And so we recognize that and ask the Historic Preservation Commission to make a decision regarding that, and at their last meeting, they voted unanimously to recommend removal of that status from the property known as the Perkins House.
And I may add two things. One, removal, once a property has been designated, then by ordinance, the only way to remove that is by ordinance, which is why this is before you. It has gone to the, in addition to the HPC, it has also been reviewed, I understand, by the State Historic Preservation Office, and they have concurred in this. And the reason, even though the house is gone, unfortunately, the ordinance, although it was, the only reason for historic designation was the house, but the ordinance specifically said it covered the entire lot. As you know, that large, what's now vacant lot there. So that's why we're asking to remove it.
Philip, thank you so much. Anybody else like to speak on this particular issue? Hearing no, declare the public hearing closed, and council.
I move we adopt an ordinance having the effect of removal of the local historic landmark status of the Perkins House property is given by ordinance number 87-07.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Motion passes. Okay, other business. We have consideration of a proposed amendment to the city ordinance to address foot races run on city streets. Louis, I'll let you have that one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I think everyone knows, there seem to be a lot of races that are run on the city streets, 5Ks, 10Ks, fun runs, whatever, which is a terrific event for many reasons. But they can pose some issues, in particular in regard to safety, security of both the participants and spectators and traffic in general. There has been some regulation under our ordinances, but some things need to be clarified, especially in light of the state's, pardon me, recent decision to enforce stricter rules for races run on their streets. And as you may know, virtually all of our major thoroughfares in town are DOT streets, but some, of course, are not, and some of these foot races have been run on city streets. So in cooperation with Public Safety Department, I've worked up some changes in the ordinance, probably the most important of which is to direct that the Department of Public Safety approve the route of the street races in advance, and if the department wishes to do so, it may publish a list, a schedule of pre-approved routes, and you would have to follow one of those.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Let me ask a question before we vote. Is the routes, has that list been put together?
Well, a potential list, I might ask if perhaps one of the chief or one of the majors might briefly address that. This is something that other cities have done. I know Hickory has done. The advantage of having a specific schedule of routes is they've already reviewed it and know that would be safe.
And that's true.
Major Loudermilk can probably address
yes,
that.
we've got, I think, 4 preset routes that have been picked that do not run on a US or NC route, but on city streets. And so therefore, we can sort of bypass some of the DOT requirements.
And the challenge for them on their streets is the signage and the people that have to be at all the intersections.
That's correct.
And the manpower that it takes in order to do that.
Absolutely, yeah. The DOT requires a certain amount of signage, detours, and blockage and what have you. So it's much easier to run a street race on a city street as opposed to a DOT controlled street.
And I
And
might
not
add
from
that
volunteers. I mean, volunteers don't meet the requirement.
That's correct, yes.
Of the manpower required at the street corners, street crossings.
and Major Loudermilk and the rest of the staff had to work very hard on figuring out the routes, because to try to avoid going on DOT highways in downtown is not easy. And so the routes are a little, they crisscross and move in ways you wouldn't normally expect. But for safety and control reasons, I think that's a wise thing to do.
Okay, what's the wish of the council?
Mr. Mayor, I move to amend section 6-2072, 6-2074, 6-2076, and 6-2075 of the City of Morganton Code of Ordinances concerning street races and special events as specifically and fully set out in the attached amendment.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next for your consideration is an amendment to the 2014 Sidewalk Encroachment Agreement for 100 West Union Street with Table Rock Investments LLC. I think, Louis, you're going to take that one.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, especially Sharon Jablonski, as our Main Street Director, is out of town tonight on city business. You'll recall that in 2014, we entered into one of our standard sidewalk encroachment agreements in anticipation of the opening of the Treat Gift Shop and Cafe. The property, it's a little confusing because the address is 100 West Union, but this sidewalk encroachment is entirely on North Sterling Street. The property is actually owned by Table Rock Investments LLC, which is one of Jerry Norval's companies, and he, of course, supports this request. They've been very successful with their sidewalk dining in this encroachment. Treat would like to expand that opportunity, and they have room there. As you know, that part of that stretch of sidewalk is wide, and the diagrams that are attached to the this item show how they'll extend it back from the Treat canopy back toward West Union Street. There is a slight, and as you'll see from the diagram and from the summary, there is that little kiosk there that will, and there's also an entrance into the cellar right off the sidewalk. It's a trapdoor type thing. Obviously, those will have to be, the owners will have to protect that and make sure there's adequate clearance for access for fire department to a fire suppression system access point. But otherwise, staff sees no problem with approving this extension.
Thank you.
It would be no closer, the width of the sidewalk wouldn't be changed. It would be no closer to the edge of the street than the existing sidewalk encroachment.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the council?
Motion to approve an amendment to the 2014 sidewalk encroachment agreement for 100 West Union Street with Table Rock Investments, LLC.
We have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda are 30-day notices for boards and commissions. We have some upcoming expiration of terms, vacancies, and that will appear on the following boards and commissions. The City Council makes or confirms appointments. The appointments and nominations will be made at the June City Council meeting. Those are the Human Relations Commission, 1 term is expiring and 1 is vacated. The Board of Adjustments, 3 terms expiring. Under the Cable Commission, 2 terms expiring and 2 vacancies. On the Community Appearance, there are 3 terms expiring. Under the Main Street Advisory Committee, there are 3 terms expiring and 1 vacancy. Under Planning and Zoning, there are 3 terms expiring, and under our Recreation Advisory Board, there are 3 terms expiring, which would be council appointments. If anyone has an interest in volunteering for one of these vacancies, applications for requests for appointment to city board, Morganton boards and commissions are available with the clerk during business hours from the city's clerk's office or on the city website. Are there any other items to come for the city manager and city council not on the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I've got something I'd like to say.
Okay.
Last year, we're going into the budget season now.
Yes, sir.
And last year, we had a little shortfall between our income and our expenses, and we had to add a $20 vehicle registration fee.
Okay.
And I'd like to bring it to the council as a motion that we do not have this, we discontinue that.
Is that in form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
Have a second. I'll second the purpose for discussion. Since you made the motion, would you like to clarify?
Well, I just think it's put a hardship on a lot of people, especially that has multi-vehicle families. It's not putting one on me, but other folks, and I've received a lot of comment about it.
Okay. That's in favor. Anyone like to speak also on that subject? John?
Well, I think that's really part of the budgeting process rather than doing something outside of the budgeting process, I think.
Okay.
I think that as we go through the budget in the next few weeks, that would be the time to do it, I think. Let's see the impact that it has. You know, Sid saying that it has an impact on some citizens, but there's also the impact on the tax rate that the city has. So let's look at the bigger picture than just this one item and see what that dollar amount is.
The reason I did that, John, was so Karen and the folks that's working on the budget would have a little time to maybe come up with some alternatives.
Yeah, because I don't think,
Yes.
I would say, to your point, Sydney, that this is done by the state. We don't, I mean, we've directed the state to collect that on the city's behalf, but it's not something I could stop tomorrow. We'd have to give notification to the state to stop charging that, because nothing is ever as easy as it seems. So, I mean, if you were to vote on that tonight, it's not something I could stop tomorrow. Now, we could do something
Well, I don't know.
to impact it, but I just want to make the point that it's not something we can stop because it goes through the state.
What month did we start this? I'm not,
Well, you enacted it in the, if I can speak again.
Yes.
You enacted it in the budget. So, we gave notice to the state in July. They actually started collecting it, in September. So, because of the lag, and again, because you go through the state, you're at, we work under the privilege of how quickly they can work.
Louis?
If I may comment one thing, I mean, obviously, it was budgeted in the 16-17 fiscal year, and while obviously you could decide not to for the next fiscal year, I think we're pretty well locked in for this fiscal year.
well, if we told them tomorrow, it would be next fiscal year.
The end of June before.
well, it could run through September, which would be a full year. And that would, you wouldn't have some people having to pay it part of the year and some others not having to pay it the other part of the year. If it was a full year, everybody has to pay it one time.
I think we would have to check into whether or not it's something that could be start or stop.
Yeah, we'd have to ask them.
Beginning of the fiscal year. Again, we're under the rules of the state with that, so we just have to check if that's what you direct us to do.
Okay.
And considering that last year, rather than putting an increase on the property tax rate, because even though this is a tax, it's a user fee that would go to folks who own motor vehicles that don't necessarily own real estate.
Anything else? Well, we had a motion. I guess we need to vote.
Oh,
So,
yeah, we did.
yeah, we do have a motion, so we need to vote.
Got it.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we table the motion until possibly next meeting.
Okay, would that be, help me, Louis, would that be a substitute
I
motion?
think I think you've got to consider the motion to table first before voting on
Okay.
if it gets seconded.
I have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion to table and second. Any discussion?
May I ask for a clarification? Are you talking about tabling it until the June 5th meeting?
That's,
Because
Is
we'll
June the
have,
5th our next regular council meeting?
It is.
That'd be a yes then.
so the motion is to table until our next meeting, June the 5th. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion to table until June the 5th, please raise your right hand. All those opposed to
I'm
the
gonna
table.
concede to that.
Okay. Anything else to come before council? If not, stand adjourned.